Good morning, Mark Sutton with HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane and Hurricane HD video blog for September the 4th, 2012. Taking a look at the tropics, we have Tropical Storm Leslie and its cute little brother, Tropical Storm Michael, right there. A really interesting comparison. The enormous envelope of energy with Leslie dwarfing the very small envelope of energy of Michael, but both of these are tropical storms. Remember that the National Hurricane Center here in Miami, Florida, their area of responsibility is the entire Atlantic Basin here, the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico included. And even though this is a tiny little tropical storm, it does affect any shipping interests out here and high seas forecast information, etc. So they do monitor even little tiny systems. And it clearly has a well-defined center of circulation, a little area of convection associated with it. Yes, it's small, but yes, it is a tropical storm, no doubt about it. Leslie, of course, a large system. Both of them forecast to move generally northward over time due to a general lack of strong high pressure over the northern and western Atlantic. But Leslie, an interesting forecast, we'll take a look at that in just a moment. These two systems in very warm water out here in the subtropical Atlantic, water temperatures easily 80, 81, 82 degrees or higher. And in fact, if we look at the departures from normal here, very, very warm compared to normal, right where Michael and Leslie are located. So those two tropical cyclones taking advantage of water temperatures that are above where they should be for this time of year. Leslie continues to be sheared, but it has a tremendous outflow tail. It's got that curled up look to it that I like to look for when I am seeing whether or not something is going to strengthen. A very well defined center of circulation sitting in here. All it needs is for the shear to relax and Leslie will become a strong hurricane, I do believe. The forecast track, this is what it looked like on September the 1st. You might remember this. This was aimed generally away from the United States and even Bermuda. It looked like it might curve on out to sea. Now that has changed, and it has changed course and now forecast to turn more towards the northwest, north-northwest to be more accurate with time. Bermuda right here pretty close to that center of circulation on day 5. Now this is the 5 a.m. advisory, the latest advisory information coming out shortly. What changed? Why did we go from this to this in just a few days' time? Well, let's take a look at the euro at the 500 millibar level, the ECMWF model, and this is valid at 120 hours out. Alright, so this is last night's run, and this will be valid on the 8th of September at about 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And here we have Leslie. And notice this area of high pressure right here. This is that ridge trying to nose its way back in and push Leslie off more to the northwest. Meanwhile, over the Tennessee Valley and digging into the southeast U.S., we have this trough. This is what's going to really hold the key to where Leslie goes. And what I want to see is, does this trough out here sort of capture Leslie and slingshot it in where it could possibly impact New England? Or will the trough act more like a broom and sort of sweep Leslie on a curve out to sea, pushing it like a big mob of people moving forward? You know, so will it get swept up and pulled into this upper level system, or will it get pushed out to sea? That's the question. And if we go to day 6, you see it gets closer to New England, and finally day 7, not real far off the coast of southwest Nova Scotia, as this area of low pressure cuts off as an upper level low, the trough energy itself lifting out, the ridge backs off a little bit as well, and then Leslie has this escape route to miss the United States directly, but very possibly impacting the Canadian Maritimes. The GFS has a very similar look to it. This is also day 5. Here's that trough digging in. Where this digs in, the amplitude, how sharp it is. You know, if this is just a little bit further to the west and this ridge is able to build in a little bit more like that, then Leslie gets to come more west before it hooks, and it could make a direct impact on New England. This is far enough out in time that there's definitely room for enough adjustment west that we have to really watch what happens. Whether or not this affects the United States, we still have to worry about Bermuda in here, and then eventually the Canadian Maritimes for sure, and possibly eastern New England. So at day 6, the GFS shows that Leslie kind of getting pushed out ahead of it, ahead of this trough, and just not enough ridge out here to nose back in to sort of sandwich it in between. At day 7, Leslie is sitting over Newfoundland with a direct impact over that area of the northwest Atlantic Ocean. And again, like I said, it's really going to come down to, does Leslie get sort of pulled in like this into New England around this upper level feature where it kind of swings it in, or is it more of a sweeping action where Leslie gets pushed out to sea? Hard to tell right now. There's still enough time to see what happens. And in fact, out of Caribou, Maine, I believe this is where this forecast discussion snippet originates. National Weather Service discussion saying that the long-range models differ quite a bit on the depth and positioning of an upper low over the southeast U.S. The evolution of this upper low will impact the trajectory of Tropical Storm and eventually Hurricane Leslie and its proximity to the New England coast and Canadian Maritimes by day 7. So we go back and look, I think it was this slide right here, the Euro really showing this upper level low, if it's just a little bit farther back or a little bit sharper carved in, then it could easily allow Leslie to track closer to the United States before turning. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Still a lot of time to watch and see how things evolve. So that's a look at the tropics for today. Nothing going on in the eastern Pacific of any concern, nor is there anything elsewhere in the Atlantic Basin. We will be watching Leslie very closely. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, my website. A pleasure to produce these videos for Hurricane and Hurricane HD, and I'll be back to do it again tomorrow.